Today is a bit of a strange day, you know. I'm going off to a horse event, but I am not going to be riding. Welcome back to my channel. I am rapidly getting in my car to dash off a little way away to go and spectate at a horse event, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it when I get there. So I found myself here. Where are we?
We are at the Defence Animal Training Regiment in Melton Mowbray. It consists of the Equine Training Squadron, so they train. So basically, this establishment trains all the military working animals in the British military. We have both the Equine Training Squadron, which trains the horses of the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery and the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment, and we also train the military working dogs for the various different organisations within the Army, Navy and Air Force on how to use search dogs, for example.
So there's so much that happens here, and it's a really amazing venue, and I've been invited here today by Brian, who we'll hear about a bit more in a second, because we've got the competitions going on and we're just following along for the day. So anyway, Brian, introduce yourself.
I'm Second Lieutenant Brian Lung. I'm an Army Reserve Officer in the Royal Logistic Corps, and I first started riding about 7 years ago, and within the Army I first started riding I joined the Army Equitation Association about 3 years ago, and I'm now their media and sponsorship officer.
And you chase everybody around with a camera.
I chase everybody around with a camera. I work with different organisations to see how they can support us and how we can support them. The Royal Tournament is the Army Championship, so each of the services, the Air Force and the Navy, they each have a championship for their equestrian events, and so this is ours, and we host everyone, and it's a great week of show jumping, dressage and a bit of arena eventing. It's a chance to meet our counterparts across the services, reconnect with friends, and for the military horses that come up as well, you know, it's a great environment for them to experience something different, and you know, it gives them a bit of a varied life and a bit of a challenge, the courage and all that aspect away from the city.
And you're going to be competing today, aren't you?
Yes, so I am in the Lorriners Inter-Services competition. So it's sponsored by the Worshipful Company of Lorriners, and there are 4 different legs held at each of the services championships, and there's a combined one at the end of the year as well. And basically the Air Force, the Navy and the Army, we all battle it out and we get points and see who wins the trophy at the end of the year. So this leg is the eventing leg. Yeah.
And when's the end of the year? When's the last one?
October.
October, okay, that's cool. So you've mentioned the Air Force, the Army and the Navy. Are there any other forces
Yeah,
here?
so we do have the uniformed services. So for example, the police are always invited. Certainly for the UK Armed Forces Equestrian Championships in October, it'll be open to basically anyone who's blue light services. So firefighters, paramedics as well.
That's exciting. Maybe I'll just become a firefighter, so I don't think I'll go through all the Army stuff in order to do it. But anyway, I'll let you get on and go competing, and we'll just keep you up to date as the day goes on with some different interviews from different people, so we can learn about the Army, because I'm a bit clueless, to be quite honest. So amongst many other events going on this day, I first off started spectating at the Lorriners Inter-Service competition. So it's a bit like team sport if you've done anything pony club wise, etc., or riding club maybe. There is 4 members to a team, and there's different legs to this competition from what I understand. And the leg for it on this day that I was attending, they were doing effectively like a one-day event. So they started off with dressage phase, and then they had like an arena eventing out on the grass. So a good show jumping course, and then probably like a shortened cross-country course to ride. Each member's score on the team counts, and I think there was a drop score, but don't take my word for it. So anyway, enjoy watching the Army team do their dressage phase. Okay, just quickly interjecting from my editor's chair, just to make this flow a little bit more and make sense. I managed to interview quite a few different people that are involved in sort of like army equitation and just horses in the army basically, and I thought it would be really interesting for you guys to hear about it. It's a whole new world for me, so I'm learning as much as you are watching now, and I just wanted to make sure that it made sense and flow. So let's get back to the video.
I'm Sergeant Sarah Karim. I'm part of the Royal Military Police, and my unit is 116 Provo Company. We're actually a reserve unit, so we're based in Cannock, and Manchester is our detachment. We basically cover all of the centre region for the Royal Military Police. When I'm not at work, and I promise I do work, when I'm not at work, I'm normally at one of these events, these equestrian events. So my secondary role is the Army Equitation Association Chef de Keep. My role in terms of my title is to manage the senior teams, so the show jumping, dressage, eventing and racing teams. But what I also do is try and support personnel out on the ground at these competitions where we have got beginners, grassroots riders all the way up to elite riders. And it's just to make sure really that the events run smoothly, the classes run to time, and everybody's having a really good experience at these competitions. We're actually one of approximately 47 sports that are supported by the Army. We get a proportion of funding from the Army Sports Lottery, which is paid into by serving members, and that funding goes towards personnel being able to train and compete across a range of sports. It really doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you're an elite level athlete, there's always something for you in the Army in terms of sport. Today we've got a real mix. So today I'm at the Royal Tournament at Defence Animal Training Regiment in Melton Mowbray. We've been running this event for about 5 days now, so this is our last day at the event, and it's been a mix of dressage, show jumping and cross country. However, today we have got the Lorriners eventing team in, which is basically the Army, Navy and the RAF going head to head competing in a mini one-day event. So they've just done a dressage phase. The scores are really tight. There's some really good scores that have come through. And they're now just going through the course walk for the show jumping and the cross country phase that will be out here behind me later this afternoon. For people that aren't familiar with Army Equitation Association, we've got hundreds of members. Like I said, we do train people that are complete beginners. If they've had a few lessons in their own time, we can take them on, and we actually run a beginners competition league called the Grassroots League. And then we've got the mainstream events like today, which is our tri-service, so all 3 services competing against each other in a slightly more competitive environment with a real mix of levels and abilities. So people always ask us about the horses and whether they're all military horses that are seen in London on ceremonial activities, and actually there's a mix. So I would say there's quite a good proportion of both civilian horses and military horses at the moment. And I know that they're going to go into more detail later on the background to the military working horses, some of which today were seen at the King's Birthday Parade, also known as Troop in the Colour, last weekend. So they're extremely busy ceremonial horses, and it's absolutely amazing that they can then come to these events with a little bit of training in the background to then go and compete head to head with civilian horses at the same competition in the same classes. The other horses are personal horses that belong to the riders, so they're not kept on military establishments, they are kept at home. What you'll find is the riders are soldiers themselves, Army, Navy and RAF. We have got some civil service here as well, but going back to the forces side of things, these are personnel that are working very busy jobs and they're deploying all over the world. So they're trying their absolute best to train in between to then come out to these competitions. And what you'll also find is you will see them out and about on the mainstream circuit at BE, BD, BS as well. So if you spot some military uniform like you've seen today going around at your local show, they are serving personnel and highly likely on a military horse or their own personal horses. So we have had some questions come through previously about how the single service teams, so the highest level riders in each service, how that works. So we've got an army team. They're approximately the top 5% of the British Army in terms of the level of rider. Our team is split into a show jumping team, eventing team, dressage team, and we've now got a racing team as well, which has recently come through. They have raced previously, but we've now got a little bit of funding to support them as a senior team. Personnel tend to apply having joined the army, whether they're a phase 1 recruit, a phase 2 trainee, or they're fully trained soldiers. They're eligible to apply for the senior teams if they meet the standards. And what you'll find is these are the people that you do see out, not just at the military events, but in particular at the civilian events. So they are the people that you are likely to see at things like your British Dressage National Championships. They do receive some extra funding, so it is a perk of being in the army, and it's the same for the other 2 services, the Navy and the RAF. As the senior team, they receive some extra funding from the Army Sports Lottery, and that gives them support for things like entry fees, stabling fees. They do get their fuel as part of being in the military as well, and that just helps them get to some of these bigger competitions. We always try and send them out as a team because it works quite well as a bit of a pit crew. If you're not riding, you're on the ground helping the other individuals. And we do find that actually sending them out as a team does help improve the results because they have got that support from personnel on the ground.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. I wanna drive a faster car. Lay my troubles to rest. Blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine, and I know this is my time now. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Look at the beautiful stars, I wanna drive a faster car.
I'm Landscott Twydale, and this here is Much Working Horse Viscount, stable name Biscuit, and we're here at the Royal Tournament this week. I'm competing in the show jumping. Done a little bit of dressage as well, and coming up here from the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment in London, straight off trooping the colour on Saturday for a very busy, very successful week, getting a lot of our other soldiers out here jumping as well, and just having a general all-round good week, decompression a little bit for us and the horses, having a little bit of fun before going into the rest of the ceremonial season, and another couple of busy weeks ahead.
And I think Lance Corporal Twydale downplays his achievements at times because you've only started riding since you joined the House of Cavalry, haven't you?
Yes, I joined the House of Cavalry in 2016, went through basic training, the likes of that, got to Windsor to the riding school in 2017, and that's where I started riding. Never even seen or touched a horse since then, and just found a bit of a passion for it, a bit of a love for it, and never looked back since. Did my instructor's course in 19, and since then I've been producing young horses and teaching trainees how to ride as well. quite a few of the guys that are up here as well. I took them through their riding school course, so it's quite an achievement to see them achieving what we are as well as riding instructors in the lower levels, having come from the same pathway that we have, never ridden before, and then coming up here and competing for the week. It's really good to see.
And part of the instructor's course, you also get your BHS qualifications as well, don't you?
Yes, so I came up here, got my BHS stage 3 complete horseman and stage 2 teaching qualifications, and then come back up here 2 years later on with a bit more experience, a little bit more knowledge, and then sit the stage 3 teaching exams, which all held here at the Defence Animal Training Regiment.
And as part of your passion for horse sport, you also got your CATC license, your HGV license.
Yes.
And you're the 2IC for the sports side of the House of Cavalry Mounted Regiment, aren't you?
So we try and get as many people away as we can. So to facilitate that, the regiment kindly put me through for my CATC driving, so I can now drive lorries and stuff like that, which I never would have thought I'd been able to do when I was first taking my driving test a few years ago. So yeah, that's pretty good. Getting the guys away, I work with one of the corporals back in the regiment to try and organise and get as much like competition practice and stuff like that out for the younger members, and then for myself I do the British show jumping, so I sort of run with a bit more of that, and then the IC runs with eventing mainly because that's where his sort of passion lies a little bit more. So a bit of a round mixed bag, really.
So what's next? What's next then, Lance Corporal Twydale? What's the goals for this year? The team, you're on the Army development team for show jumping.
So that was my big goal for the year, was to get onto one of the Army teams, get on and do some British show jumping, which I have been. State visit next week, so busy bit of ceremonial coming up still, but I've got ISHxWarmblood booked in for July, which will be really good, and then the rest of the military fixtures as well as a little bit of BS on the side as well, just to keep things rolling, moving into the winter before I post out of HCMR, sadly, on a ERE posting.
So how does it work in London? How are the horses kept?
So the horses are kept between sort of 2 locations. So we have the riding school in Windsor, which is sort of running as much as it can throughout the year, getting the recruits coming through out to the other side in London as a fully trained horseman to then conduct ceremonial duties. The remainder of the herd, if we're in the swing of a season like we are now, they'll be kept in London down the lines. So we've got horses upstairs and horses downstairs, lifeguards being downstairs, the Blues and Royals being upstairs, and then they'll exercise out and around Hyde Park and around Kensington, Chelsea, Westminster sort of area every morning. They're then looked after by the soldiers and personnel at the barracks, which is it's no easy task, as we all know. You can't just lock the doors on a weekend and go away, so it's a very demanding but also very rewarding job for the guys and girls. And then when we've got sort of a bit more of an off season, we bring all the horses up here and they have a little bit of a grass rest and turn out and rotate them through, and then before we bring them back in to rinse and repeat and do it all over again. So our training cycle from 0 to hero, getting you down to the other side in London, it's a 14-week riding course, learning the basic principles of riding: walk, trot, canter, stirrups, no stirrups, jumping, a little bit of a cross-country element, individual riding as well as group riding, to get the guys and girls confident, so that then no matter what situation they're in, they could end up finding themselves in, they're then able to sort of deal with what they need to. Also gives them the ability to come out and do stuff like this as well. Like, they've got that basic foundation of jumping, so they can come out and come away, and we just sort of bolster on a bit of a training package to get them to the standard to do like more course element jumping. They then progress on to London, where they'll do kit ride, where they learn how to ride in the kit, learn how to ride on one hand, wearing the big thigh-high jack boots, which are wax rock solid, and wearing our state uniform, which is, as you can imagine, very, very comfortable. About 90% of our soldiers have never ridden before coming through, but sometimes it helps to have the 1 or 2 that have ridden before. They can go up the front as a lead file and sort of help carry everyone along as the driver of the train, so to speak, in the first few weeks when everyone's absolutely unbelievably nervous and they don't know what to expect.
So I'm Trooper Crocombe from the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment.
And I'm Trooper Purse, also from the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment.
I've ridden personally for 8 years because I've got horses back at home.
I've ridden since I was very young, but took a break and then restarted learning when I joined the House of Cavalry Mountain Regiment. We passed out of kit ride on the same kit ride in 2022. Lance Corporal Twidale was our riding instructor for that course as well, so we're very lucky to have had him bring us through our training. We then went on straight onto our ceremonial seasons performing King's Lifeguard that year.
Currently, we're both in the process of coming up to the DATR and doing our RRI, so Regimental Riding Instructor. So then we can go back to the squadrons and help the squadrons with learning how to ride better, and just bring more enjoyment to riding for the troops within there, and helping out get the horses ready for the parades, what you see happening through the year.
So this is my second time at Royal Tournament, and I'm really happy to have come back. I enjoyed it last year, but I've enjoyed it even more this year. I've come on Military Working Horse Tudor, and she's given me an absolute blast and taken me around some pretty good courses in some rapid times, so very happy with that.
So I've been to Royal Tournament, this is my first time, and I came with 4 Military Working Horse 4. He's been really good, to be fair. Got me 4 rosettes, couldn't ask for better. He has flew around with me multiple times, and yeah, it's been a blast. Happily do it again. One of the reasons why I joined the Household Cavalry was because where I got horses at home, I always got told, if I'm joining the army, get a trade out of it. So I thought I'd try and get a trade with horses as well, so I can use it on Civvy Street if I further down the line say I did leave. But also we do still do the green side to it as well, down in Bulford, so I thought it's best of both worlds.
Yeah, very much. The dual role capacity of the Household Cavalry is very appealing. We obviously come to Knightsbridge and do our ceremonial duty, and then we can post over to Bulford where we do armoured vehicles as well. It's a very varied career.
Okay, and that rounds up my day with the armed forces. It was a very different insight to some equestrian competition, and I found it so interesting to hear about different areas of the army and how all of the horses work into it. Definitely sounds like a fun place to be. The Lorna's Army team came a very respectable second, just being pipped to the post by the RAF team. It'll be interesting to see how that concludes as the different legs go on and they build up points. I hope you found this interesting and informative. I certainly did, and I will definitely see you very, very soon.
Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me.